yeah. Now go and tell all the neighbors, yeah. Then crank up the radio. There's infotainment, brilliant to get you on your way. Wake up and start your day with Jimmy Lakey.
Well, say my name. We'll just say my name over and over and over. Sing it. I love it. The people tell me they all the time. They for decades they say they've heard the choir sing my name in various ways, and they always let me know that during the middle of the day they're oftentimes prone to break out in the Jimmy Lakey jingle. Come on, confess, everybody. How many of you have been prone to at times random opportunities sing the Jimmy Lakey Mass Choir jingles? Anybody sing them at weird times? Maybe while you're sitting there with your lover, you all of a sudden start singing the name of Jimmy Lakey. I don't know. So maybe you've been in a break time, tapping your toe, maybe in a conference room, tapping your toe, and you start singing Jimmy Lakey. And God bless you. I don't blame you. I'd sing my name too. Matter of fact, I do regularly. And you're welcome that I could plant such great seeds in your head. And for that, you'll be forever indebted for me. So anyway, well, thank you to the Jimmy Lakey Mass Choir for bringing us in. It's Lakey Unleashed from the confines of corporate radio. My name is Jimmy Lakey, and for the next hour or so, we are together, communing one with another, giving you a little daily update, things going on in the world, things that should be going on in the world, giving opinion, commentating, information, entertainment, all the above. It's here together, and here we are. So if you're in the chat rooms out there, we call the chat rooms anywhere you're on a forum, maybe you're on the Facebook, people are already saying good morning from East Texas, good morning from Oregon, on the YouTube channel, good morning from, I believe I saw Arkansas pop up there later, so we're well represented. The state of Texas always represented. If anybody in Michigan today, any Michiganders out there, Michigan's a state we oftentimes don't hear from. If you're a Michigander, I'd love to hear from you. Also, Massachusetts, that's an interesting state. With the showdown going on in Texas, Massachusetts has been exposed to be bat crap crazy. The governor of Massachusetts is unhinged, Subaru, crazed-looking women. Those women just look crazy when they surrender their soul to Satan and liberalism, whatever they surrender their soul to. They're crazy-looking, and she comes out and she goes, we're going to have to fight fire with fire in Michigan. We're going to really have to go after Texas. We may have to gerrymander our state too. And then they realize, you don't have any Republican districts drawn up in your state at all. You've already gerrymandered. Even though 30 to 45% of your state oftentimes vote Republican, those 45% of people don't have any representation in any congressional district in Massachusetts. So guess what? Texas is really just doing what other states have already done, including the Republicans, or the people of Massachusetts. The Republicans there have zero representation. So anyway, good to see the showdown going on. And again, I think oftentimes when the left and these liberals start squawking and crying the most, oftentimes they do the most harm for themselves. And, they start harming themselves by standing up for criminals and the illegals. They do harm for themselves by letting people now see the gerrymandered ways of these liberal blue states out there. So Texas proceeds. I haven't seen any arrests yet. I'm not sure those legislators have been arrested. Anybody in Texas, feel free to chime in. Let us know what you're hearing. You are our eyes on the street. Anybody from Massachusetts out there, we'll take the states that start with M. Massachusetts. We could also have a Maine person. If you're in Maine, love to hear from you. If you're in Missouri, we already see Missouri on the board. But Michiganders, love to hear from Michiganders as well. So if you're in an M leading state, a state that begins with the letter M, today we will declare it officially a letter M state day. And it means nothing. There's no door prizes, no brownie points or anything, just a recognition of your state from the letter M. So for a state begins with the letter M. Just made that up just now. All right, got a couple of questions for you here this morning. A question of the day is coming up. Anybody hear this? So the Superman got an ICE segment, Immigration Customs Enforcement, ICE baby. Superman has joined ICE. Have you heard this? Actor extraordinaire Dean Cain has decided that he wanted to join ICE. And he has signed up and said he will do whatever the director of ICE wants him to do. Whether it's if it's jump out the back of a Penske truck at a Home Depot, as they did yesterday, he'll gladly do that. Evidently, Dean Cain is a big law enforcement first responder guy. He's also an honorary deputy sheriff at a place in Tennessee, and he's a part of a police force in Idaho. So Dean Cain has said, screw it, I'm going to join ICE. Did you hear they announced there's 10,000 jobs for ICE? ICE, baby, 10,000 jobs, right? Over 80,000 people have applied for those 10,000 agent jobs. Everybody is waking up and saying, you know what, I'll go. There's bonuses involved. There's good pay involved. And you get to keep America safe. You get to get rid of these derelict illegals that are unwelcomed in our country, no longer welcomed here. You get to be a part of the solution, not the problem. So 80,000 applicants. I'm going to see if Congress is going to have to increase the budget. Tom Homan says they need the 10,000 at least in order to have record numbers and have the greatest deportation effort in American history. ICE, baby. Anybody out there? I mean, the odds that, oh, by the way, Kristi Noem also announced they've removed the ICE age limits. So there used to be certain ages that if you were above a certain age, you couldn't apply. You weren't eligible to be an agent on the street. Kristi Noem says, screw it, apply if you're qualified. And you want to go out there and catch these bad hombres, and you want to round them up at the Home Depot, or you want to go and knock on some doors, she's going to let you do it. The ICE baby, ICE baby. I just keep singing that now. It's going to be better than the Jimmy Lakey choir in my head. The ICE crew has lowered the age, and 80,000 people have applied. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that this morning, that if I was, let's say, a 20-something-year-old young man, and maybe he was kind of bored with college, and I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do, that'd be something I say, you know what, I do ICE. I don't know if there's an academy you go to. I don't know, but I think there's like a $50,000 bonus or something. I'd be heading off to ICE baby myself. I'd even do my hair up like Vanilla Ice if you needed me to. So anyway, Scott says only 2,000 people are going to pass the physical, though. Hey, sir, we're making America healthy again here. Robert F. Kennedy's on the job, my friends. The presidential exercise physical standards are back in place, Scott. So we're up to 3,000 by the end of the week. We should have 3,000 people able to pass the physical. Anyway, give me your thoughts. Anybody see the Home Depot raid? They backed up this Penske truck, and a bunch of illegal hombres gathered around and thought they were going to get a job, and they opened up the back of the Penske rental truck, bright yellow. And ICE comes out and starts chasing people across the parking lot. Penske rental properties or rental trucks has issued a statement that says they're going to be reaching out to ICE and letting them know that it is against the standard policy that no human being is allowed to ride in the back of their cargo vans. So ICE and Kristi Noem are going to get a naughty letter from the Penske rental company, and it's going to say, "Dear sirs, dear ma'am, you cannot carry human cargo in the back of the Penske truck." That's what that's going on. It was just fun watching all this yesterday. These ICE agents jumping out of the back of a truck, saying, "Go get him! Juan's on the run!" And they go get Juan, and they find him down and lock him down and send him off to Alligator Alcatraz or wherever he had to go. You know, if I lived in one of these cesspools of a nation that these people live in, the narco-terrorist state of Mexico, if I lived there, I'd want to get the hell out of that. They don't even have toilets in most places that you can flush your paper. In most of the places, they have a little trash can next to it. When I realized that when I went on several missions trips, I said, what a third world hellhole cesspool this is when your plumbing is so bad you can't even flush the toilet paper. That's not good. But, you know, they do in the resorts to make it look good for all of us Americans that like to go down there and party it up. But you go out to the real world in Mexico, it's a trash can, and you just hope they better put the clean side up. That's all you hope in that trash can is they put the clean side up. If they don't, it's problematic. But, yeah, you watch those guys jumping out of the Penske truck yesterday, and you have to go, that'd be fun. I hope they weren't in there long and it suffocated. They opened it up, and it's like they were smuggling illegals in there. But I don't think they were in there very long. But they jumped out, arrested a bunch of bad hombres, and Penske says you can't carry human cargo in the back. And I'm sure Kristi Noem will make a call and say, "Relax, kids, it's going to be okay." All right, what else do we have here? Oh, the Kristi Noem. Speaking of her, you've heard of Alligator Alcatraz. Have you heard of this one? And I don't know if the administration is just trying to find some of the craziest places for branding topics to put detention centers. But Tom Homan says we need more. We got to get them quicker. We can't always just fly them immediately. We got to process them, so we got detention space. And so now the state of Indiana has jumped up, and they're calling it the Speedway Slammer. This is an immigration and customs enforcement detention space. It's going to compete with Alligator Alcatraz. They're going to partner with the state of Indiana, expand the detention bed space by 1,000 beds. Nome had heard earlier this week that such facilities in partnership would come to fruition, that like a prototype what they saw at Alligator Alcatraz. Nome says, thanks to Governor Braun of Indiana for his partnership to help remove the worst of our country. Nome said also in announcing the newest facility, if you are an illegal in America, you're going to find yourself soon in the Indiana Speedway Slammer. Now you say, Jimmy, what is the Speedway Slammer? Where is it? Well, the name is a reflection on Indiana's auto racing culture, which is known for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They're partnering with Indiana to use the bed space at the Miami Correctional Center for illegal immigrants facing deportation, and they're partnering. As far as I know, they're not building it in the middle of the Indianapolis Speedway. That's not, but they're using the branding called the Speedway Slammer, and I think that'd be kind of fun. Put really fast race cars that will run your ass over as a moat going full time, and tell the illegals, hey, try to get across the track and see how that works out for you. I don't know. I'm just thinking just as good as alligators. All right, good to have all of you here on the show. Kristi Noem, ICE is on the march, and they're jumping out of the back of a Penske truck, and people want to be ICE agents. Anybody out there? Again, I don't know. We have thousands of people that will listen to the show and or watch this show by the end of the week and the end of the day, once we go up on the podcast platforms. Anybody out there, any of you, one of those people that say, yeah, I'd sign up to go to ICE. I'd do the ICE baby thing. Anybody else out there saying, yeah, Speedway Slammer, I'd go, I want to go tour Alligator Alcatraz, see the bad hombres there. It's a good day to be an American, a bad day to be a bad hombre. And if you're heading off to the Home Depot this morning to try to get cheap work, you might want to have your green card. By the way, if you got your green card, I could use some work at the House of Lakey, but don't come here. I have alligators guarding my house as well. So I'll call you. Don't call me. All right. Speaking of getting in shape, as Obnoxious Scott said, talking about how these people are going to be able to pass the physical, CNN, which it could be a lie, but because it is CNN, they have done a list online, a little survey of people in which people are trying to find a way to get extra steps in. You know, steps are, you got to get movement. Old Michelle Obama said, get moving. Let's move it, right? Well, you and I know that as we get older, being active, we don't get to take a morning recess and an afternoon recess and go play Red Rover on the parking lot. We don't get to do those things. So, and at some age, our metabolism slows down. And so our question of the day becomes very, very simple. Ready for this? What are you doing to get more fit in your life? There's a CNN did this story, and again, it could be lies because it's all CNN, but it was people. But it was actually people that responded to the survey, and they listed the top 6 ways that people are fitting more movement in their day. What are the ways that you fit more movement in your day? I'm prone to, I don't always grab the first row of parking. Maybe I don't grab the furthest row of parking, but I oftentimes will grab the second or third row of parking just to get a few extra steps throughout the day. I've also noticed my phone tracks how many steps I have, and sometimes I have to yell at my phone because it doesn't give me credit for it because the phone is like down on the desk and I'm walking somewhere else, and I got to remember to get the phone so I get the credit for all my steps. But what are you doing to get more movement in your day? That is our question of the day. It can be fun. Here's what came up on the CNN Health Survey. You ready for this? Do squats while heating up food in the microwave. Even if it's just 30 seconds, it adds up, and you've already got a timer built in. So while that 30 seconds is ticking, you could be squatting in front of the microwave. Now, if you're doing that in the privacy of your own home, it ain't a problem because ain't nobody going to judge you in the master of your own universe. But if you're in the break room at the office and you're heating something up or doing something in the microwave, and somebody walks in and you're going in and out of a squat stance, there's going to be some people asking what you had for dinner and if you need any help or anything. So be careful. If you're going to do squats at the microwave, just be careful. Do it at home in the privacy of your own home. But that's one. Some people say they pick a favorite show and they make themselves work out whenever they watch it. So it's their favorite show, so they're not punishing themselves, but they force themselves the entire time that it's on to do physical exercise and work out. So what are the weird ways that you get more movement in your day? Let us know what that would be. Some people say they do calf raises while they're brushing their teeth. And I guess that means just stand on their toes or something while they're brushing their teeth. It's just putting good use. So if there's ways that you put more movement in your day, feel free to let us know. And maybe it's good advice for someone else, or maybe we're just going to laugh at you for such silliness. But yeah, it's always good. Carry your groceries to the car. And I think they mean if you can get them in your arms, carry them out, or in your hands if you're still allowed plastic bags and don't live in a communist state like we do. We only get these paper bags now. But nevertheless, carry them out and don't push the cart out there. Don't do that. So that's a way people get more movement in their day. That is your question of the day. What is the way that you get more movement into your day? How creative are you to make sure you get that fat butt out from in front of the computer or in front of the telly or in front of the telephone and actually get some movement? There's your question of the day. It's all our contribution to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and making America healthy again. That's what we're doing here. And you can help your brethren and sisterin out there watching the show or listening to the show by giving some advice that I will read on the screen. So please comment in all the chat rooms out there. What are the ways that you get more movement in your days? Feel free to jump into the conversation. Love to hear. And now, if there's no response here, it could certify the bet that Delilah had, is that you have a bunch of lazy, she said a bad word, people watching the show. They're probably not getting much movement. Delilah has a bad attitude today. So please feel. How do you get more movement? Jim asked, it's a question. Does eating more fiber count? Well, if that's the kind of movement you're going for, Jim, it counts as much as you want it to. But to move that fiber that you're ingesting, sometimes it would be helpful to get a little body movement. But yeah, fiber can help you get more movement, but that's not, it's kind of like the one time that I did my physical and the doctor said, are you drinking? Because your liver numbers are very high, not dangerous, but they're a little elevated this month or this year. And I said, well, you told me to have a more active lifestyle. And I started with my liver. And the doctor did not think that was funny. Jim, that's kind of what we're thinking about your comment as well about fiber. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Letts is on the program this morning, waiting patiently in the green room to hop onto the program. Second time this week. Michael Letts, good morning, law enforcement expert. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm moving my calves up and down. I'm getting extra movement, like you said, Jimmy. The wife is not up yet, so usually if I holler at her, she'll chase me, and with a broom. That gets me a few extra steps in, but don't have that opportunity this morning, so I'm just moving my legs up and down while I was in the green room waiting.
I'm gonna send Mrs. Letts a cast iron skillet, and I think that would be may get you moving a little bit more.
I was going to say I'll run a little faster then.
Yeah. Let me tell you something we've never told the audience really about you is, first of all, you're the president and founder and CEO of Invest, a law enforcement expert, but you are a former Green Beret. People may not know that you served your country as a Green Beret, and now we're letting the cat out of the bag. They're going to have much higher expectations of you, Michael, now that they know that. But seriously, a former Green Beret. When you were watching the shooting unfold in the Army base in Georgia, they were on lockdown, active shooter. Evidently, it was a sergeant that shot some people up. The other men on the base had to detain him. We don't have the motive yet. I want to get your thoughts. Army base lockdown in Georgia, active shooter was caught. 5 people hurt. Some of them transferred to other hospital, required immediate surgery. Give me your thoughts.
Well, we had the same thing occur in Fort Hood. And a couple things. We need to, first of all, realize this is not the first time, won't be the last time we have incidences on military installations. They're as big as small cities, and people in the country would be a little surprised as to how many shootings we've had on how many bases we've had across the country. But that having been said, we need to understand that we're sending a very bad message to our populace in general when we don't provide people and make them be held accountable for their actions. People have asked me what happened to the shooter at Fort Hood. Of course, he's serving a sentence, but nobody knows that he killed 13 people. Yep. We've got to get to the point, Jimmy, to where America understands that if you take action against a soldier, but not just a soldier, if you take action against any American citizen in a nefarious way, you will be held accountable. And right now, there is a great divide. We see that in our blue cities, sanctuary cities. If you want to commit a crime, run over there because you can get an activist judge to let you out on bond or nothing at all, and you're not held accountable for what happens. Well, if you do it in a red city, you might get copped a little harder. But quite frankly, Americans think that we just don't hold people accountable for criminal activity anymore. And as long as we have that attitude, this is going to get worse, not better. I had people this morning on shows that we were on. How come they were able to get a handgun onto an installation? Jimmy, half the populace of an installation lives off base with their families. Can you imagine what the traffic grid would be like to try to get a strip search every car that comes through, trying to get it on the base first thing in the morning? It's impossible to do. And so we have to do something much deeper than that. And I believe it's sending a very clear message that you want to commit a crime, it's going to cost you and cost you dearly.
I'm a little skeptical. I remember that Fort Hood shooter. Turns out, if you remember the story, if I remember it correctly, it turns out he had some ties and had been radicalized by some pretty radical hombres back in Iran or Iraq, or some radical Islamicists had radicalized him. But it took forever for the government to really let us know that that was a tie. This was domestic terrorism inspired by radical Islam here in this country. And I'm kind of wondering if this will be the same thing. I mean, people might remember the Fort Hood shooting, but they don't remember that motive was he was just basically wanting to bring about a terrorist attack on America, and that was the way he could do it. Talk with me, though, if you will, about the motive of this guy, and maybe in this administration we'll actually learn the motive?
Well, I believe there's no question that we will. What it appears now, Jimmy, is, of course, the investigations are being done as to what his tie-in to what organizations he was involved with, who his friendships were, and who he hung out with. But what you see is, remember, we've talked about it, there's over 120 different sleeper cells in this country. Most of them are Islamic jihadist cells. They have a very ripe field of recruits because of the fact that our higher institution learning areas and, our schools teach our young people no respect for authority. Higher institution are teaching our young adults that America is a horrible place to be. It's a horrible country, deserves to be punished, should never be a part of the globe to begin with. So there's a great recruiting ability for them. Those are things that we have control over, Jim, that it's time that we change. America is one of the greatest, it is the greatest country in the world. If you don't like it, it's the only country in the world, you could pack your little bag and be gone here by this afternoon. Nobody's keeping you here. If you don't like it, leave.
Yeah. I'm watching these protests. I know you've talked about this on some other shows in New York City, these pro-Palestinian, anti-Jew, that's what they are. They're anti-Jew protests happening there. And we need to even be paying attention to these things. The New York City protests have escalated. We watch what happened on Columbia. We watch what's happened on these Ivy League schools. But it's getting dangerous if you are following what's happening in New York City. I'll let you unpack it.
Well, here's what you're seeing, what's going on in New York City. Of course, it's all dealing with the Hamas. Part of the Islamic jihadist movement. And what they did initially when they came over, they tried to play on their sympathies, which is what they're still trying to do with America. They're trying to convince us that our policies of being tough on crime are dictatorial, that, we're just evil people. We're trying to crush people's dreams and hopes. And so what they did initially is when they began to protest, they just wanted you to see the poor, starving children. We're just trying to get them food. Of course, we found out that was a lie, Jimmy. There was more food being sent over there than to feed an army. They just, Hamas wasn't giving it to its citizens, that's all. Then they went from there to, this is not working. Let's go ahead and have sit-ins. I'm not going to let you get to work today, Jimmy. I'm going to block the street. Now, what you see in the last week is they're getting violent. They're attacking law enforcement officers. They are using violence. It always escalates that way. And why is it? What did we do to deal with the problem when they first started? Nothing. We've allowed and sent the message that, hey, it's okay for you to hurt, harm, destroy, whatever you want to do, as long as you feel like you're expressing yourself. Jimmy, that's not America. It's time we stop that kind of activity.
The voice of Michael Letts, if you're listening later on the podcast edition of the show, if you're watching it live, on all the platforms, YouTube, Rumble, etc., that Michael is who it is because it's on the screen. But if you're just listening, that's Michael Letts. His organization is InvestUSA.org, InvestUSA.org. Michael, one more quick comment from you. I want to get on the numbers that are coming in on applicants for 10,000 jobs with immigration Customs Enforcement. People are said there's over 80,000 applicants. Dean Cain, the actor, is now going to be sworn as an ICE agent. I guess a great recruiting tool. What do you think it is happening among young people, and I would guess predominantly young men, but young women as well, that hear the clarion call to keep our country safe, and they say, "Send me in, coach, sign me up"? That's a pretty impressive number of Americans. 80,000 people applied for 10,000 jobs.
Oh, there's no question. I'm so proud of America because of the fact that we're now realizing that the wayward ways of the liberalism left had just failed us, and they put us in very greatly in harm's way. And now they're rejecting that, and they're coming out to say we're going to make America, our children, and our future safe. One thing I want to throw in, hats off to Tulsi. She waived the age requirement to be an ICE agent. So, Jimmy, I have the qualifications now. I'll expect to see you in uniform at the next broadcast.
I'm gonna have to do that. I'm gonna have your wife chase me with that broom to get me back in shape a little bit, or that frying pan. I'm working on it though. I'm trying to. I'm doing the calf races while we talk and all that stuff. So that's it. Michael, it's great to have you here. First of all, real quick, talk about investusa.org. That's the organization that you're passionate about. You started, and you're basically keeping local law enforcement, sheriffs, police departments, even ICE agents. You're trying to make sure that everybody has the proper protective gear that they need, and that's what InvestUSA does. I'll let you tell the story.
Well, we know that law enforcement, especially ICE, but all of law enforcement is a target because they're fighting back. They don't want to be forced to live by rules and laws, these illegal immigrants that are here terrorizing our people. But unfortunately, our first responders are having to do the job without being able to protect themselves, without having active shooter vests. And so we want to make sure that the first responders know that America has their back, the same as they're trying to have ours. So if you can, go to our website, that's investusa.org. Make a contribution of anything. Just let the American first responder know that you've got his back covered. You appreciate his willingness to sacrifice, and we stand united together for a better, safer America for our future and for our grandchildren and the generations ahead.
InvestUSA.org. Michael, I'm going to get in touch with you through Kimberly or somebody. I think I've got a way to get you some money in your pocket for the organization. So InvestUSA.org. Everybody go throw in a couple of, by the way, what does an active shooter vest cost? If somebody wants to donate 1 or 5 or 10, they can do $25 and that goes a long way. But if you want to do the whole kit and caboodle, what does that cost?
They run roughly $700. The reason why I say roughly depends on the cost of steel. We use titanium in them. Sometimes it's $650, sometimes it's $720, but roughly around $700 will take care of putting an officer in a vest.
InvestUSA.org. Michael, always a pleasure. 2 times in 1 week. Go get in shape, my friend. Where you and I are going to go? Are we going to jump out of the back of the next Penske truck at the Home Depot? I'm ready.
That's where we start, and then we're going to start jumping out of golf carts first. Don't want to go too fast, Jimmy.
Yeah, let's men like us, Michael. We got to pace ourselves.
Exactly right. We're in for the long haul, Jimmy.
I think I can see you and I in a supervisory role back there with a cigar and a cocktail, going, "Yeah, get them, boys." Yeah, that's it.
Well, see, you've already got it down. If you know how to point the finger, that's it. That's all you need to be able to do, Jimmy.
I'll have a cigar in that hand too. I'll look like Boss Hogg out there in the Dukes of Hazzard. Michael Letts, InvestUSA.org. Appreciate you, my friend. By the way, I can't believe we've never told everybody you're a former Green Beret. So thank you again, and glad to see you on the program. Michael,
we did a lot of work with them. They're great. They're great folks, and truly, we have a lot of heroes in this country, and I'm thankful for every one of them.
Michael Letts, InvestUSA.org. Make sure that you go donate some money to a great organization. Let me bring up my next guest, but before I do, I want to remind you something very special is coming up. Very, very special. It's Friday, September the 5th is my 9th annual charity golf event. It's a great time where lots of folks gather at the Colorado National Golf Club, and we raise money for the charity cause I talk about often. It's on the screen behind me. Rivers Promise, that's an organization I started, if you're new to the show, and we're building Legacy Christian Academy on the continent of Africa in the most beautiful nation of Rwanda. Made the start of the organization working there because my son I adopted from Rwanda. I vowed to take care of more kids that were not going to be as fortunate of him to come to live in the greatest nation ever, and the greatest nation on God's green earth. So we take care of kids there. That's the heart of God, taking care of the widows and the orphans, and we take care of plenty of orphans. And this is our biggest fundraiser of the year. It's Friday, September the 5th. If you're a golfer, if you're not a golfer, believe me, I've seen the people play for 9 years at this golf course, and usually it's a drinking game where golf might happen on occasion. We could probably get somebody out there and give DUIs on those golf courts. We don't propose that, but I'm just saying I've watched some of you. Some of you need to sign up for AA at the end of the meeting, at the end of the golf tournament. Anyway, it's Friday, September 5th. Fly in, come in from out of town. A lot of the cast of characters have heard on my radio show for years, and come on this show. They oftentimes come in for the show or there, and you get to meet them. Producer Chad is there. I'm there. Producer Chad is also a veteran. He's put together, and they have a veterans foursome. We've got real estate foursomes. We've got just people that are bringing their office out to play. Whatever you whatever you want to do, just register. And I'll give you a hint, just between you and us, all right? Just between us girls here. Hey, you can call yourself anything you want in the world we live in. Remember I told you there was a discounted sale. It was a flash sale that was Monday through Wednesday. Well, the web guy has not taken that down off the website. So you can actually still get the discounted foursome and the discounted individual registration. You can still get that at riverspromise.org. Go sign your butt up individually, sign up a foursome. And if you want to sponsor, you can do that as well. Jay Ratliff, one of the great sponsors, he's sponsoring lots of holes on the golf course this year. Our aviation travel expert, he'll be on this program later. He's sponsoring. There's ways to sponsor or register. riverspromise.com, riverspromise.org. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I bring my next guest into the forefront of the studio, coming from the green room where there's probably powdered donuts and coffee that's really stale. It's Dr. Josh McConkey. Dr. McConkey, how are you, sir?
Hello, good morning. Thanks for having me on the show.
You have the powdered donuts in there. I hate it because it looks like everybody's snorting Coke when they come out of the green room.
No, I just got some trail mix here in North Carolina.
That's all right. Good to know. Let's talk here about you, candidate for Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina, Dr. Josh McConkey, Air Force Colonel, author of a book called Be the Weight Behind the Spear. We'll get into all that here in just a moment. But I want to get your comment as a man who's also served your country, which thank you very much for that. These shootings that happened in Georgia yesterday, don't know motives yet. Don't know if it's a terrorist attack. Don't know if it's a mental health collapse. We're not exactly sure. But I'm sure you hear of that news from a different paradigm because whether at Fort Stewart or the Air Force Academy just down the road from where I'm at, you have to think of it kind of differently, like, wow, that's a place, that was their workplace. Something different probably goes through your head when you hear of these shootings.
Yes, unfortunately, these have become occurrences. I've been part of one. Andrews Air Force Base, there was a lockdown a couple of years ago, and my brother was at Fort Hood during that shooting several years ago. So, very personal for my family. And these are, my heart goes out to those families. I'm glad all 5 individuals that were injured are doing okay. 3 went to surgery, but they're in stable condition. So all 5 will survive. And the quick reaction of those soldiers tackling him immediately really saved a ton of lives.
Yeah. You were a former, emergency room physician, Air Force Colonel, North Carolina Lieutenant Governor candidate. Talk about, if you could, real quick, as an Air Force Colonel, emergency room physician, and diving into the world of politics in the great state of North Carolina. What was something in the trail mix you ate? Why would you want to get in the world of politics?
Well, North Carolina 2024 was a very difficult race. Now, we came through in the presidency, but on the statewide ballots, our governor race, we just had a candidate that really underperformed and unfortunately brought the whole party down to the ground, essentially burning it to the ground. So we lost the governor race, we lost lieutenant governor, we lost attorney general and secretary of state. Dan Bishop was a wonderful candidate for attorney general, Hal Weatherman for lieutenant governor. And in any other world, if our governor candidate doesn't underperform by nearly 15 points, we win those races. So really, we're going to rise from the ashes. We're going to rebuild the party here. We need purpose-driven leadership, and I'm going to step up and fill that role.
As a frontline ER physician, I'm sure you also hear some stories regarding, the big, beautiful bill. The Democrats, I know in our state, are still saying that it's going to kill people. People will die. People have lost their health care. Talk about as a frontline ER physician, what are you seeing? What do you expect to see with some adjustments in Medicaid spending and emergency care at hospitals? As a doctor, as an ER physician, are you worried that the sky is falling mentality that the Democrats have spread, that people will die because of the big, beautiful bill? Do you believe that?
Boy, every time you cut spending, the Democrats lose their minds. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. And we're just not falling for that anymore. If they want to tell the truth, what they'll tell you is they've been destroying rural health care and taking money out of Medicare and Medicaid reimbursements for physicians since the Obama administration with Obamacare. So rural hospitals have been in trouble and have been closing for a decade and a half. Has nothing to do with the big, beautiful bill. And specifically, when those issues were raised, Senate initially had proposed $25 billion for rural health care, and it was doubled to $50 billion. So the only people that you're going to see losing access to health care, if you're an able-bodied 20-year-old man, you need to get off your couch. Guess what? You get to go to work for 80 hours a month, just a month. As a resident, I worked 80 plus hours a week. So if you're a single mother, if you're a disabled veteran, if you have a disability and you need that Medicaid, there will not be changes for you. If you're a 25-year-old guy that's sitting on the couch, guess what? You're going back to work. And that right there was going to save over $330 billion when the CBO did some calculations on that. So those are all things the Democrats don't want to talk about, but the sky is not falling.
Again, a variety of topics I have here on the list for you. We were doing a fun question of the day early in the show. There's a CNN health poll in which people started listing the fun ways they try to get more movement in each day. 6 weird ways to fit more movement. Some people say they do squats while they're waiting on the food in the microwave. Some people park further away. Someone in our chat room just said they take the dog on extra walks when they try to get more steps. Some people park further away. There's also some people power vacuum. They're vacuuming, go a little bit quicker when they're doing that to get some exercise in. There's been a story, and it's kind of been true. Obesity, youngsters out there, we've been out of shape. Robert F. Kennedy is going to make America healthy again. The military was having a tough time for a while getting people that could pass some of the physical expectations. Talk about the return to healthiness in America. And even President Trump saying, hey, let's get some presidential health exam or health standards back in our public school system.
As a physician, I am so happy to see this. It's about healthy competition. And it's not even a competition against other people. It's with yourself. So I remember that competition for that presidential fitness award when I was a kid growing up. Push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups. There was some stretching and a run in there. And I did not ever get that presidential fitness award, but it gave me something to shoot for. I think I missed on the pull-ups each year, but I put a lot of work into that, and it's a competition. It doesn't have to be about you and the other people. I think the Obama administration, when they start to celebrate mediocrity, and they don't want to celebrate anyone who does well, they're that top 15% that was getting the award. So you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. This is real life. Everybody is not a winner. Okay. There are winners and there are losers, but that losing, it doesn't have to be detrimental to your mental health. You're competing against yourself. You're not really competing against other people. So we can't stop celebrating success just because it's going to hurt somebody's feeling who is not meeting those standards and those goals. When you saw in Virginia several years ago where they had a high school class and they refused to celebrate the merit scholarship winners because it might hurt the other kids' feelings, that is why we are where we are with our mental health crisis in this country right now. And as an emergency physician, these bad policy decisions, and you look even as far back during COVID, you shut an entire generation out of school, out of church, and out of their community. And guess what? It's not good for their mental health. As an emergency doctor, I see that anxiety, depression, and suicide. And we are now correcting course, and we're actually going to bring some of these standards and physical fitness and health and addressing chronic health issues to the forefront. It's very important.
Dr. Josh McConkey is my guest. We'll talk about his political campaign in just a moment. I'll give you a website. I'll give you a hint. It's called StrongerNC.com. We'll talk about that. Also, his Pulitzer Prize nominated book called Be the Weight Behind the Spear. We're still going to get to that here in the coming seconds. But Dr. McConkey, just as we introduce you to our audience, and hopefully people of North Carolina pay attention to you, Your perspective as again, Commander 459th Aeromedical Staging Squadron, Andrews Air Force Base. You've served your country in the United States Air Force. A couple of weeks ago, when we had those fantastic flights of those bombers heading over to Iran and knocking out some potential nuclear facilities over there, as a that's your fraternity, that's your group, the Air Force there. What kind of pride runs through your blood there when you see those bombers coming back safely? You've, again, different paradigm because of your station in life.
And that's when you hold your head highly and celebrate air power. So no one else on planet Earth, no other military can do that job. Their ability to fly around the entire world, drop bombs under the cover of darkness and not even have known they were there until they exited the airspace. It's absolutely incredible. And it put the world on notice. When you see China, when you see Russia, that type of deterrence, that strength, that's peace. Things like that will prevent World War III. And you could see how fast things could devolve in the Middle East. That put Iran on notice. That may have just prevented another war in the Middle East.
Dr. Josh McConkey, I want to talk the book and the campaign here in just a second. But tell us about North Carolina. If you'll say a lieutenant governor of North Carolina, they may not even know who the governor is, but some of us in Colorado, we're always looking because we've been taken over by idiots like our governor, Jared Polis, who has a great case of Gavin Newsom envy. He looks at Gavin every day and says, gosh, I wish I could be just like him. Like now you're off with the hairline and the waistline. That's the first place. But nevertheless, a lot of us looking for places to move one day if we ever have to become expats of this state. North Carolina, are you seeing an influx of people like the Florida and the Georgia and the Texas are?
We have seen a huge influx right here in the Triangle. I live in the Raleigh area, a large increase to the point where it's really turned politics in Wake County into a very blue county. Yeah. We were able to address that with the redistricting for the 2024 congressional districts. They did a great job of that. And as a result, we have 10 Republican seats with 3 Democrat seats and then 1 swing seat. This is a Republican state. This is a red state. You've got your blue dots in Asheville, in Charlotte, and right here in the Triangle near Raleigh. But the rest of this state is very blue collar, hardworking, honest people. You get out in those mountains. I think a lot of people are familiar with the flooding that happened in September with Hurricane Helene, a lot of rebuilding, just wonderful communities. We've got coasts. Some of the best coasts, the Outer Banks, most beautiful coastline in the country. So, please, we're wide open for business and for people to move, and it's a wonderful state.
I haven't been there in probably a decade, but when I was in the music industry, managing music stuff, I was in there in and out for concerts on a regular basis. State income tax in North Carolina? Do we have one?
There is a state income tax for military. Myself, they do not tax military pensions. So that's a big draw. If you've got some military members out there in Colorado, come on out to North Carolina.
Dr. Josh McConkey, real quick, your book was nominated for a Pulitzer. It's called Be the Weight Behind the Spear, Pulitzer Prize nominee. To help us understand the book, give us the plug of the book, then we'll talk to your campaign.
Yeah. So Be the Weight Behind the Spear. That's my personal leadership ethos. The best resource that we have in this country, it's people. It's teachers, it's coaches, and volunteers, families. That is what sets our people apart. I've worked with special operations. I've worked with some of that tip of the spear, people kicking down doors, taking down bin Laden. I don't do those things. I'm a doctor. I save lives. I don't take lives. But we can all be part of those individuals and help build our future. And this generation that has been, they do feel abandoned. They were shut out of schools and churches. They need our help. And this book is our prescription to get them back into society, help teach them those basic leadership skills and resiliency, the things that they have been failing at. We failed them. We have to own that as a country. This book is my prescription to fix that problem.
Be the Weight Behind the Spear. You have a foundation that backs it up, and folks want to learn more about the book. They get a copy of the book, Be the Weight Behind the Spear, and or they want to learn about your foundation. Where do they go, sir?
Yeah, they can go to weightbehindthespear.com, WEIGHT, weightbehindthespear.com, and then it's /foundation for our nonprofit organization.
Dr. Josh McConkey is also running for lieutenant governor in the glorious state of North Carolina. If you're in North Carolina, you have friends, you'll want to tell them about Dr. Josh McConkey. Every state has different roles like in the state of Texas, the lieutenant governor is more powerful than the governor. The governor is kind of a figurehead. The lieutenant governor has more day-to-day operational power. So does the land commissioner. People don't know that about the great state of Texas, but it's true. Talk about North Carolina, the political environment. You touched on it. And what is the role in the great state of North Carolina for a lieutenant governor?
So, the Republicans control the state House and the state Senate. It is a very red state. And the Department of Education is chaired by the lieutenant governor. So that's one of the largest roles for lieutenant governor. Myself, as a physician and an educator, I was a prior Duke University professor. I'm very excited to take on that challenge.
When is the election, and what do you need for folks? You obviously need some support. Is it a very heavy primary race?
Absolutely. So it's a 2028 race. So we're still 3 years out, but putting that time and effort in right now. I ran a congressional race in 2023 in the primary, and I was outspent by $12 million. So I learned my lesson the hard way. We're putting in that time and effort right now. And we have a Democrat in office. Her name is Rachel Hunt. She's lockstep with Josh Stein and Governor Cooper. I can promise you the next little sniffle or bird flu, they're going to be shutting down churches and businesses again. So I need your help. They've got a tremendous amount of California money coming in. If you go to StrongerNC.com, I'd love to have you on my team.
StrongerNC.com. I have the producer Chad has it across the bottom of the screen. The name of the book was up there earlier. Also, that's the Weight Behind the Spear. You can go to that website, but StrongerNC.com. Dr. Josh McConkey, pleasure, sir. Thanks for hopping in here, and enjoy the trail mix, and we'll have you back on, sir.
Thank you, sir. God bless.
God bless. Dr. Josh McConkey, again, StrongerNC.com. That's his website, running for lieutenant governor in the state of North Carolina. And as this show is heard all across America, especially those of you listening later in the day on the podcast version, don't forget StrongerNC.com. And it's important, we talk about, you always hear these George Soros prosecutors are in place, and you hear of people that just have office. And you're like, how'd they get in office? Well, money. It was said, and you've heard it said, it's not original to me, but money is the mother's milk of politics. And I want to tell you that, it's easy to think, well, these Democrats are imploding and they're not going to ever win again with these type of bat crap, crazy Jasmine Crockett AOC types. That's good wishful thinking. But unfortunately, they got a lot of money and a lot of a way to influence with the media, spin up a tail of a web of a tail, and they will lie in order to keep the power they have. So I have to tell you, my friends, you've got to donate to politicians. I know everybody wants in your pocket, right? Everybody wants a dollar here, a dollar there. Jimmy always asking for money for his charity. You want to give to your church, which I highly recommend you do that. There's all sorts of ways that you want to give and you need to give, and I get it. But, he's 2028. If everybody out there that listens to this show could, once a year send him $25, that helps the coffers of these candidates. So you don't have to be a prolific donor to make an impact. The same way with charity or politicians. But I think the key part of our lives is learning that flex of generosity, and find the things that you can be generous and be more generous than you've ever imagined. And, it's just generosity is a very, very, very powerful thing. And a lot of you are going to be motivated. Some of you are not motivated to give to my charity, but hey, that's okay. Are you giving to any charity? Are you giving? Maybe you're motivated to the homeless. Are you helping out organizations that are getting the homeless off the street? If you're sitting there hoarding all of your money and all of your treasure, I don't think that's a healthy thing. I don't think that's the way God put us on the planet, and why he blesses us. And I'm truly a believer that if I can be a good steward over the small little bit that God gives me, that maybe one day God's going to give me a little bit more. And I want to prove myself to be generous. I give to my church. I give to my charity, and I give to other causes, not to brag, but just because I believe generosity is key. So again, StrongerNC.com, and keep that in mind as you head towards midterms in the back of your head. Within a year and a half, did you know within a year and a half, there's going to be people announcing who's going to run for president because they're going to have a 2-year spin up on this thing? So start budgeting in your head, budgeting in your heart as to what you're going to do, and those candidates that you really love that are going to come under attack and under assault by George Soros and the big time media out there. Start planning ahead so that, set aside $1 a day, start a change jar and give that to politics. So find a way to be generous. And that's what you need to do, is be as generous as possible out there. All right, coming up on the program, we got Jay Ratliff, our aviation and travel expert. Always good to have Jay Ratliff there. I think it was somebody posted and said, Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina. I don't even know who the Lieutenant Governor is in the state of Colorado. I happen to know, and I don't know why I know this, but I believe I would almost bet $100 on it. It's Diane Primavera, I think is her name. Sounds like a pasta dish. Primavera. Diana Primavera. It's something like that. And the only power or job that the lieutenant governor in Colorado has is they have a job for, I think they head up the Indian Commission for the Native Americans. Yeah, feathers. Yeah, that commission. Yeah, not dots. I think that's all they do. I think that's what they do. Now, up until, you may not know this, I remember this, but in Colorado, it sounds like the same way in North Carolina. It used to be that you could run independently. You were not a running mate. You were not a team, right? And that changed under the days of the last Republican governor in the state, was a guy named Governor Bill Owens. Anybody remember Bill Owens? I just moved here when Bill Owens was the governor, and he had a lieutenant governor in his first term, who's the late, great, he was a friend of mine, Joe Rogers. And Joe Rogers was a great guy. And I don't know what happened, but Bill Owens was not thrilled that Joe Rogers was his running mate, or his lieutenant governor. They didn't run together. And so it's for the second term, going into Bill Owens' second term, which he did win re-election as a Republican, the last Republican governor we've had in this state in a decade or two now. They changed the law to where governors chose their own running mate. And I just happen to know Joe Rogers because I used to be on talk radio, and Bill Owens would come on my program occasionally, and Joe Rogers would come on anytime I wanted to. And you could tell they were not running mates. They weren't partners, and I wasn't exactly sure why Bill Owens wanted him off the ticket and wanted somebody else as the lieutenant governor. But that's where the rules changed in Colorado. So now we have Jared Polis is our running mate, or is our governor. He actually chose Diana Primavera. He chose her to be the running mate. For what reason? I don't know. Probably because she was a woman. And I'm sure she was again, maybe very well qualified. But Democrats, as you can see with Kamala Harris, oftentimes choose people not because of their qualifications as far as professionally, but it's called the DEI hires. And I'm not saying that Diana Primavera is a DEI hire, but maybe she was. You got a goofball gay guy that's kind of not great. He's awkward to talk to. Maybe she's a much better speaker. That could balance it. But anyway, Colorado starts running this. They have running mates now, but they used to not have that. There's your little fact there. All right, the question of the day, we've done a survey. Well, CNN did the survey. We're doing our own. They did a list of ways to move more each day. It's got the classics like taking the stairs, parking farther away from stores, don't take the elevator, take the stairs. What are some of the ways that you try to get more movement into your day? That is our question of the day. Weird ways that you get more movement in your day. Rich says, well, I try to do more exercises with my wife, but she's not into as much as I want to be. What do you mean, Rich? What do you mean? Explain. No, don't. Stacy says, one of my dogs, part poodle, will stand up on the back legs and wave its front paws when I get home from work. If I don't do a little dance and wave back, then he pushes back on my legs. Dance fitness in Texas. So dancing with a dog, I've heard of dog walking and dog dancing. Get a little motion going on there. I get a little exercise every time when the choir begins to sing my name in the morning. The Jimmy Lakey Mass Choir sings. I oftentimes do the Trump dance. You'd be surprised you can get a lot of exercise doing the Trump dance. I do that. You should all try that. All right, weird ways that you get more exercise into your day. This was actually a recent study, and people are picking up on the CNN poll. A recent study actually backs up that if you rush through your chores, things like vacuuming faster or hustling when you take the trash out, you can actually boost your heart rate, and that can count as a short workout. So the next time you're doing the vacuum or the next time you're rolling the trash cans or taking the trash out to the road or whatever, rush it, run it. I've got a longer driveway. And I got to get past the alligators anyway because I have a moat and a security system that I'll kill you. So I'm rushing out. So I'm going to run. Today, if we take the trash out, we're going to run it out there as fast as we can. That's a good idea. But power vacuuming, that would actually probably be a pretty good workout for most people. How are the things, what are the things that you do to get extra steps, extra movement into your day? Pacing, I do tend to do this. And I thought it was a nervous habit, but now I'm just going to call it an exercise habit. If I have my headphones on, or if I'm not wired on a Teams call or a Zoom call at my desk, I will oftentimes pace and walk while I'm on the phone. And that's actually a surprisingly good way to get some exercise. Now, I have been known to take a walk on a business call, but in this heat that we're having in Colorado right now, not going to be walking at the height of the day. Trying to do my walking before the show. I'm trying to get that in. So anyway, give some suggestions. Some of you probably have some weird and yet great ways to do it, and all of us need to be in shape and make America healthy again. Rich says, park at the very far end of any parking lot, walk a little further. That's one of the biggest ways you can do it. How many times do we drive around a parking lot looking for the open spot right up front? And by the time we've driven around 45 different times, waiting for every tap of the brake light, they're pulling out. Yeah, they're here. Okay. Put our signal on, try to race in there. We probably could have already parked in the furthest distance and walked our asses in there. And by walking in there, maybe be a little bit less fat. A little bit less out of shape. I saw the video that we posted up the other day, and I think we have to do another one. I was at Colorado National Golf Club, and I saw it. Producer Chad produced it, and it was up there, me talking about our flash sale for our charity golf event. Get registered up. And by the way, I'm giving you a hint again. That's actually still active on my website. Not supposed to be, but the web guy hasn't pulled it down yet. So we'll keep it going until the end of the day, I guess. We'll figure it out. It's going to go away soon, the flash sale, but you want to register for that. But I look at the video camera and I go, wow, I ate the golf cart. It's what it looked like. It looked like I ate it, and I might sink the golf cart if I sat on it. So it reminds me that I need to get more movement in my day, and everybody get more movement. All right, weird ways you get more movement. Has anybody power vacuumed? Anybody done that? That'd be a workout. Well, no, I told the housekeeper to power vacuum. I said, vacuum quicker. That's what I said. I should try myself one day. I don't know. Maybe I will. All right. Good to have all of you here on the show. Jay Ratliff, our aviation travel expert, coming up here in just a moment. Always good to have him with us on the show. Don't forget the charity golf event I did mention, Friday, September the 5th. And listen, this is a great chance for you to be involved. And if you'd like to be a sponsor, or just, hey, Jimmy, I can't be there at the paddle race. I can't be there for the event. But if you'd like to donate in advance, feel free. Registration, that flash sale registration is up right now. It's $50 less a person, $200 less a foursome. And I believe starting tomorrow, we're going to have a similar discount. I think it'll be the same, but it's going to be specifically for veterans, first responders, and military. They're going to be able to register for the golf event cheaper. It's right less than a month away. And go to riverspromise.org, riverspromise.com. You're not far from the airport if you fly your rear ends in here and come to the event. It's worth it. You don't have to be a prolific golfer. You just have to like having fun. Which I think most of you probably do. So it's Friday, September the 5th. More information at my website, riverspromise.org, riverspromise.com. And that flash sale discounted registration is actually still up there, even though it's supposed to end at midnight. I think it's still up there. I need to maybe double check. Maybe it did come down. I'm getting mixed signals here. All right, good to have you here on the program. Again, question of the day: what are the ways that you get more movement into your day? Are you squatting in the microwave? Are you vacuuming quicker? Are you parking at the end of the parking lot? How are you trying to take care of your physical body by getting more movement throughout the day, even though most of us end up sitting in front of a desk way too many hours a day? How do you get those extra movements into your body, into your day for your body? Let us know. All the platforms out there. Rumble, have we heard from Rumble this morning? Anybody on the Rumble channel, let us know. Love to hear from you. Also, Instagram, we'd love to have you. Have we launched on Instagram? Oh, we're not live on Instagram. Oh, we are now. We're live. Oh, great. We just now went live on Instagram. Instagram's a bane of my existence, I think, when it comes to live streaming. All right, good to have all of you here. Let's welcome in Jay Ratliff, aviation and travel expert. He's on the stage. He comes. Jay, good morning, sir. How are you?
Pleasant good morning. And I was thinking about the question of the day for you, and mine is using a standing desk. I use one of those elevated desks that I can stand with a nice little pad under my feet. That way I don't sit around all day. And I tend to make better trades standing up than sitting down. So, yeah, I like to do that.
I should try that here in the studio. Chadwick should move to a standing desk. My problem is I might start walking and pointing. You're back on camera. I look like Kramer on CNBC.
Well, you saw me. You and I had an experience when I was standing and my leg went numb. So maybe standing isn't exactly the best thing to do all the time.
Maybe it's not. We never did release that on the greatest reels of bloopers. I told producer Chad to put a little bloop reel together, and I don't think we ever did. But
I think he was being kind. But yeah, you could have put that to music and raised money.
I tried, Jay. I really tried. I said, hey, this is great. And you wanted to show it to your daughters, too, but I don't think we ever said that.
Yeah, they're nurses, and they would have a big-time problem with that. But, yeah. But, I bounce okay at my age, so it still works.
It all works out. Jay Ratliff, aviation travel expert. Jay, let's dive into some of the topics of the day. I was watching news last night. United Airlines at Denver, they had a full ground stop, it sounds like, across America. And then Southwest also canceled more than 700 flights this week due to weather. But as of last night, when I went to bed, United was still shut down almost across America.
Yeah, it was, I think, early this morning when they got everything back up and running. Of course, at that point in time, you have thousands of flights that are impacted. And most of the flights that are operating this busy summer travel season, we all know they're filled. So when you have to displace in an airport on a bank 20,000 people, where in the world are you going to put them? Because what you're looking at is, okay, I can put a family of 4 here, 2 people on this flight, 1 here, and you have other flights that have standbys. So it's very, very difficult to clear that backlog for a period of time. It'll probably be Monday or Tuesday before United and Southwest get everybody to their intended destinations. And I can tell you, I have had these kind of service disruptions, weather-related, computer-related, when I've traveled before. And my wife and I many times have told the agent, look, we know you got your hands full. We appreciate what you're doing. We're trying to get home. Get us to any airport in the state of Ohio. We don't care. We'll drive home from Cleveland, 4-hour drive. I don't care. Toledo, 3 hours. Columbus, 1.5 hours. Whatever it takes. And I'll make sure that we've got a rental car. But Jimmy, that's what we'll do to try to help the agent. And when you give them that kind of array of options, they can work magic for you. But sometimes when you're trying to get into a specific city that has limited flight activity, especially during times of service disruption, it can be quite the headache.
Yep. Usually we do hub delays at the very end here, but with all these delays at Southwest and United, which of our hubs, what's going to be most problematic getting in and out of, whether the delays from last night or ongoing weather?
Well, currently right now, the problem children of the day are going to be Charlotte and Miami, but I think the delays are going to be minimal. We still have those aggravating afternoon pop-up storms that are impacting hubs at the last second. We can't predict those, but we do know that with all the storms that we have across the country, there's a good bit of turbulence. And again, turbulence isn't dangerous. It's uncomfortable at times, but I tell you, if you don't have your seatbelt on, you can go from sitting in your seat to kissing the ceiling real fast, and that's when injuries take place. So always, if you're seated in your seat, even if it's loosely about you, I really implore everybody that flies to keep their seatbelt on because we're starting to see some of the images now, the recent Delta flight, I think out of Amsterdam, that went through some severe turbulence. And they're showing what's left of the beverage carts, the cabin. It's a mess because everything went flying, and it just goes to show just how violent some of those situations can be. So that's one of the reasons that I keep telling people, we can't predict turbulence. So until we can, let's make sure that we keep our seatbelts about us because we have some serious injuries every year from that. Most of them are the flight attendants, those poor men and women. They're up more than 80-90% of the flight time. So they're the ones that take the brunt of it. But for passengers, we've always got to be careful.
Real quick on turbulence, how far is the average moderate turbulence to severe turbulence? How far is that plane actually dropping?
You might only talk about a couple hundred feet. It
Couple
feels
hundred
like
feet is
a
plenty.
whole lot more than that, I can promise you. And I get emails from people saying, "Jay, we plummeted 8,000 feet," and I go back and look at the flight records, and it was like 350 feet. But look, when you're going through that, and you've got that little feeling in your stomach like you have when you're at the top of a roller coaster, it becomes very unnerving. And I never want to minimize turbulence or anything like that, because when people are going through it, especially those that are scared to fly, I don't want to be like, oh, it's no big deal. Just like when we have these airplanes that take off and they lose an engine that malfunctions, and they've got to cut the power off and fly back on one engine. That to me is no problem. Nothing's fallen off the aircraft. They can still fly it, still maneuver it. They still have power. They can fly coast to coast on one engine. It's not a big deal. Yeah. The same way that if some bozo in the middle of flight gets up and starts yanking on the emergency door handle, I know he's not going to be able to open it, but it creates anxiety for people on board the flight. And, sometimes I need to be real careful that I don't minimize those concerns, because a lot of times people think they're about to die when they're in those kind of situations because of how they're feeling. Fortunately, we encounter it quite a bit. And there's procedures in place, and those types of bad things tend to not happen.
All right. Well, everybody look at your screen if you're watching. This little guy right here, Jay Ratliff's going to tell us a story. This is a guy caught vaping on an American Airlines flight, and there's the flight attendant scolding him. That's cut from his Instagram video, which I think has now been pulled, but that's a screenshot of it. Mm-hmm. Jay Ratliff, this guy's the victim. He's breaking the rules, but it's all somebody else's fault.
He's in the lavatory vaping away, which you're not allowed to smoke or vape on a plane. They make that clear in all the announcements. Flight attendants determine what's going on. They open up the door. There he is sitting vaping. And yes, he's the victim. He's like, now, wait a minute, you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. And in one of those, do you know who I am moments, he proudly proclaimed he had 25,000 followers, and they were all going to be made aware of what was going on. He said he was a lawyer, and I don't know if he is or not, but then he said justice will be served. Yeah, buddy. Justice is going to be served, because your butt's going to get into a lot of trouble, because vaping on an aircraft is a federal offense. It's a felony, could go to jail. You won't, but you're looking at a substantial fine from the airline as well as from the Federal Aviation Administration. You're also looking at the fact that you're never going to fly American Airlines for like the rest of your life. And we're going to have a lot of issues that he's going to be dealing with as they move forward. But yeah, to him, he's the victim. I didn't do anything wrong. And they're the ones who, impeded upon my personal space by invading. No. If you're in the lavatory doing something you shouldn't be doing that could endanger the aircraft, they don't know initially if you're smoking or vaping. People have smoked in the lavatory, which is horrific. They try to put out what they think is the extinguished cigarette butt quickly into the lavatory trash can, which then starts to smolder, catch on fire. And now you have a situation that can endanger the entire aircraft. They don't play around with these situations. And yes, they will come to and through a door if necessary to get us if we're in there doing something that could, in essence, endanger the aircraft.
I've been told that those smoke detectors don't just catch smoke, they catch the vapor as well. So
they do, and there's a nice little alarm that goes off on the cockpit, and they tell the flight attendants, and then you get into a lot of trouble. And normally when the handcuffs go on and they're a little tighter than I like. Not that I've ever had them. It sends the message that you're into a lot of trouble. And certainly this gentleman is going to find out just how much of trouble that he's in.
Real quick, two quick stories. Parents on vacation have passport problems, and it goes social media viral around the world. Parents, wrong passport? What happened?
Parents and at least one child are flying out of Spain. They're going on vacation, excited. They get to the airport only to find out that the 10-year-old has a passport that is expired. He can't fly. So they do what any parents would do. They left him at the airport so they could go on vacation. Yes, parents board the plane, go bye-bye. They call a relative to eventually come and pick up their 10-year-old son who they left at the airport. Now, I can't even call them parents, but I'm hoping that Spain has some real serious child endangerment or child service protection, something, because obviously this story went viral immediately when it took place, because sadly, over the last 33 years, I've had to report on stories where people show up with their pet, they're flying, and they find out that there's an additional cost for the pet, and they can't pay it, and they abandon the dog in the airport, and they walk on and catch the flight and leave. That's horrific. That just breaks my heart. But a 10-year-old child they leave behind, I don't get that one. Thank God I don't think that way. And these people, I'm sure, are going to be facing, I hope, a lot of future trouble because of some stupid, selfish decision. Who puts a vacation over the safety of their child? That makes no sense to me.
I have traveled with groups to Africa, taking them with me. There's been people I've hoped that their passport expired, they couldn't take the rest of the trip. I will leave your butt back at that airport. It's not going to hurt. But these are grown adults. These aren't the kids. These are just obnoxious adults. That's
yeah. Well, I knew what you're talking about. Yep.
All right, real quick. Boeing, it just keeps getting worse for them. 3,200 workers walked out.
Yeah, last year at this time, you and I were talking about a Boeing strike. 33,000 people went on strike. Lasted about 7 weeks. And this time you're looking at 3,200. And the thought is, well, that's not too bad. It's not as much as before. But the problem is these 3,200 work on the military side of things, the military aircraft research development. And these individuals, Boeing, a third of their revenue is tied into the military contracts. So the thought is, oops, these 3,200, if they're on strike for an extended period of time, it could create a significant problem. So right now, we're kind of hoping that they resolve this and soon. And in Washington, D.C., there's some pressure on Boeing to get this done now, because when you start messing around with delays on defense, you're talking about national defense concerns. You don't want that. Boeing sometimes is already a little bit behind on things. The idea they could be more behind on things is something that is a big time issue. So we'll see where it goes. Hopefully this will be resolved. I don't see this one going 7 weeks, but it needs to get taken care of much sooner than later.
Jay Ratliff, aviation and travel expert, jratliff.com. Appreciate you, my friend. God bless you. We'll talk to you soon, sir. Thanks for hopping on.
Thank you.
You got Jay Ratliff, aviation and travel expert extraordinaire. And if you go to his website, jratliff.com, you're going to see stuff about day trading. And he's a prolific day trader. Happy to talk to you about that. And also, if you have aviation questions, feel free to reach out to him. If you play in our charity golf tournament coming up Friday, September the 5th, you'll see at least a half dozen holes. We'll have Jay Ratliff sign all over them, as he is a big prolific sponsor of our golf tournament, and we appreciate his generosity there. jratliff.com, or also daytradefun.com. Kevin checks in there. Look at there. Good morning, gentlemen. Where? Use that term loosely, Kevin. Producer Chad is here, and it's me. But thank you for calling us gentlemen. I appreciate that. Arlo, I did see this. She's talking about how she gets the question of the day. How do you get that extra movement? She says, we park way, notice how she says way away from the store. I said it just like she wrote it, because that's what she intended me to do. That's why I should do audiobooks for people, and they should pay me. Because Jerry, that's Arlo's significant other, doesn't want someone to park next to our car, and it's a 2013 Sonata. So Arlo is thinking, hey, Jerry, we're driving a 2013 Sonata. It's 12 years old. If it gets a scrape, it's probably in great shape, though, because no one parks next to it. But we do get exercise, so that's good. I hope, Arlo, in bad weather, that old Jerry pulls you right up to the curb and escorts you in with an umbrella. Treats you like the lady you are. I hope so. If not, tell Jerry he needs to come to a manners class that producer Chad and I will be teaching next month. We'll be teaching men how to be fine gentlemen like us, because Kevin knows we're gentlemen. Jim says, walk into a spider web. That's a week's worth of exercise. You ever seen that? Isn't it amazing? It is like the immediate. It's like a seizure, but it's different. It's just immediate. It's reflexive. You don't even think about, oh, I just walked into a spider web. I think I will remove this thing from me. No, it's you freak out immediately. That's actually a good piece of practice for all of you. That's actually a good piece of advice. Walk into a spider web. I don't recommend that, because you never know if it's a poisonous spider. But be very, very careful out there, kids. Get your exercise. Don't overheat. Stay hydrated, and that would be a very good thing stay hydrated. Keep those ideas coming, ways to get extra steps. Our buddy, we're talking Kevin. We know him. He works at usually at the Denver International Airport. He's been doing some leadership training and helping people out at Chicago O'Hare. And he will tell me how many steps he walks a day. I'm trying to get to 10,000 steps a day is what I'm trying to get to. And he's at 20, 30,000 steps a day, just walking the terminals. Now, if you know Denver International Airport, it's a pretty big spread out airport, and you just got to walk it. There's some moving walkways in terminal A, B, and C, but there's a lot of steps if you're supervising gates, and he does that, and he gets a lot of steps in. So that's a creative way that Kevin gets his exercise. Is he got a job at the airline and he just walks all day. And I would be as thin probably as anybody if I worked at an airport, as opposed to sitting here talking to all you yahoos every morning. See, it's all your fault. But I take responsibility myself. All right, Sherry Cree. Have I talked about Sherry today? No, I have not. Don't argue with me. HomesWithSherry.com, great partner of this program. By the way, you come to our golf tournament on Friday, September 5th. Sherry's going to be there. She's going to force him, going to be playing. A couple of friends, clients, and her husband's going to be with her. She's just a sweet lady. You're going to love meeting her. But listen, don't take that sweet exterior for granted, or don't mistake it. When it comes to real estate and transactions, she's a real ninja. She knows how to connect. She knows how to get deals done. She knows how to get the pricing right. She looks at it as a challenge that every step of the way that she wants to earn that privilege to where one day you're going to let her work with you again on real estate. Listen, if you're in the Colorado area or anywhere the I-25 corridor, let's say take the Denver metro area, go further south, southeast, Parker, Aurora. You'll want to avoid the Trinidad, Aragua, but she can help you do that. If you go out to Boulder, Broomfield, Lakewood, Littleton, up to Fort Collins, up to Greeley, listen, Sherry Cree, HomesWithSherry.com. And I mentioned that she'll be at our golf tournament. She's actually traveled to Africa with us. She was there for the ribbon cutting of our Legacy Christian Academy School there in Rwanda, and a great supporter of Rivers Promise. But more than that, she wants to also help you with your charity. How does she do that? Well, one of the ways she does is she takes a portion of her proceeds from a transaction, and she will donate a portion of that to any charity that you designate. And she'd love to do that for you. That's just the generosity. If you're a military, first responder, a veteran, she'll take a slice off of what she would make on a transaction just to make it as every bit more affordable for you. It's Sherry Cree. Again, there's strategy sessions. You don't just stick it. I mean, maybe you think you're going to stick a sign in the yard tomorrow. That's great. Call her and see what you can do. But also, if you're thinking about maybe kids are going back to school and you want to spend 4 or 5 months getting the house ready so that maybe after the first of the year even, you can list a home. You want to kind of start the process now, because what's going to happen right now, those prices of homes are going to, you want to be ready when the interest rates go down, when demand goes up. Listen, there's going to be some shortage on the market. Talk to Sherry. Get the strategy. Get a calendar. Get a timeline. HomesWithSherry.com. HomesWithSherry.com. And by supporting her and calling her with those real estate transactions, business, buy, sell, what have you, you're also supporting this program, and you're supporting a very fine business and a wonderful real estate company. HomesWithSherry.com. HomesWithSherry.com. By the way, if you're out of the area that she works in, but you want a referral, she can refer to someone of like mind and like customer service quality. So that's a free service she'll offer to you. All right. Good to have all of you here on the program. Stacy says the spider web. That's great exercise. I just don't know where. It's not like you can find a spider web. Well, we're going to go find. Yeah, you don't. Be careful of those spiders. Be very, very careful. Arloa does climb the water tower of broadcast and with a spray paint can, defending the name of Jerry. She says, yes, in bad weather, he does drop me off at the door and then pick me up after a shopping or eating at a restaurant. So see, Arloa, you have married a very fine gentleman, and that's why you're still married to him. And of course, he has a beautiful, lovely lady that he's dropping off at the door. Just be glad he comes back to pick you up. There's some people that are not so fortunate. They get dropped off at the door like a kid at an airport, and then all of a sudden, I drop you off here. I'm going to eat over here. Not that I've ever had that happen, but last time producer Chad wanted to take me to lunch, he went to a different spot. But he took me. Anyway, glad to have all of you here. It's time for Meme Roulette. You ready for the Meme Roulette? This is where we steal the memes from around the globe, and we don't do them ourselves. That's too much work. So we steal them. Ladies and gentlemen, I hold in my hand the prop that we use. You ready? Let's do it. We're going to spin it. Say it with me. You want to say it with me? Oh, you want to? Yeah, you do. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. Nancy Pelosi, look at the screen, is suing McDonald's for trademark infringement. Look at those eyebrows. Whew. Speaking of movements, that makes me have a yeah. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. Speaking of movements, it may be difficult, but to see if you can pick out the Democrat, look at your screen, kids. Let's play the Jeopardy song. Da da da. Yeah, can you know which one's the Democrat? Yeah, I think bing, bing, bing. You're right. Yep, you're right. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. I love this one. Babylon B says Secret Services and all as Trump walks on a moderately sloped roof. I saw that myself. He was walking on a moderately sloped roof. I'm telling you, those fat chicks that were with him in Butler, Pennsylvania that day are probably amazed by that. They're really walking on the roof. I said the fat chick. That was a lady that couldn't get the holster through her belly roll. Remember that one? Yeah. Another Babylon B. Pelosi vehemently denies insider trading. She says, don't worry about it. My husband takes care of all that. Actually, that's actually what she said. When Jake Tapper was talking about her insider trading and she went bat crap lunatic crazy and said, I'm here to talk about the anniversary of Medicare. Anniversary of Medicare. This is skipping. She does all that. She says, my husband handles that. That's what she actually said. The Babylon B. That's not just sarcasm. That's realism. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. Listen, if you don't find farts funny, then you're a loser because you're choosing to have less joy in your life with the exact same amount of farts. Wow. Did we really just dip into fart humor here on the show? Did we really just dive into fart humor on the show? Delilah shaking her head like it's not me, Delilah. It's producer Chad. Yeah. Anyway, somebody had messaged me the other day, said, "Hey, you never mentioned Aiden anymore." Remember, I had the hipster youth. They worked for me in the radio. The hipster youth. Yeah, we don't talk about some people, okay? And if the cops ask where they're at, we don't know. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one needs. Oh, speaking of cops. Sir, do you know why I pulled you over? I say, if you forgot that I'm not reminding you, step out of the vehicle. That's probably not a great response. We ought to do a whole segment on sarcastic answers you've given. For instance, one time the doctor said, hey, your liver levels are a little high. And I said, you said to start with a better, a more active lifestyle. I started with my liver. They didn't think that was funny either. But I didn't get arrested over that one. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. My wife and I are sitting on the couch watching television. I hear TV and hear my phone go off in the kitchen. I get up and go to the kitchen to check it out. Turns out it was a text from my wife. And the text says, please bring the chips on your way back. Wow. Wow. Is it too late to get a new wife? Woman, why am I going to the kitchen? That's your space. Somebody that's a real sexist would say something like that. I would never say that. Why do cops ask that question? Do you know why I pulled you over? Well, I hope you do, because I sure as hell don't. Round and round the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. Ladies and gentlemen, we have milked the meme machine dry, and we're sad to do that. But it is time to depart ways one with another. Question of the day was a big hit today. The question of the day was, what do you do to get extra movement in throughout the day, extra steps? But some of you are taking into this potty humor that we have. Eat at Taco Bell and run before the movement hits. You got to run for the border. It's what you got to do. Isn't it amazing? Between Jim earlier saying he eats extra fiber, Ray's making the Taco Bell movement jokes, and producer Chad's picking up the fart memes. Ladies and gentlemen, we have officially become... It's like the boys show here. The ladies out there are shaking their head, and the guys are going, that's kind of funny. That's kind of funny. Are we as lowbrow as... I like Gutfeld. Are we as lowbrow as Gutfeld? Oh, by the way, Gutfeld's on... Is he on Fallon tonight? I've got to remember to watch that. I've got to remember to do that. All right. Glad to have all of you here on the show. I want to remind you, thank you, Sherry Cree, for being a great sponsor. We're trying to get Sherry on. If we don't have her on tomorrow, I'll get her on next week. We're going to start doing a regular segment with Sherry just so you can get to know her. And I want you to give her some business, homeswithsherry.com. Listen, if you'd like me to talk as adoringly about your business, first of all, I need to know about your business. I don't just talk adoringly about anybody's business, but you can advertise with us. And it's not just me talking. You know, we have advertising packages. Believe me, we have several packages on the program. You've seen some great commercials on this show before of great sponsors. We've talked about many of them. And if you'd like to advertise with us, sponsor this program, keep the fun going, info@jimmylakey.com, info@jimmylakey.com, info@jimmylakey.com. Somebody messaged me the other day and said, I went to jimmylakey.com, and that's kind of a boring site. We're going to start working real soon on a new revision of the jimmylakey.com site, but we're also working on a new revision of the Critical Mission podcast. So we got a lot of things working. But if you'd like to sponsor this, feel free, info@jimmylakey.com. Don't forget, register for our golf tournament Friday, September the 5th. Time is of the essence. Chop, chop. And I'm going to go see. Delilah, did you check and see, is the flash sale still up there? It's not up there. What if I put it back up today? You think somebody's going to kill me? Beat me up? Be mad? Oh, I'm the boss. I can do that, huh? Everybody, if you want to register, you know a guy. Just message me. I gotta go. Gotta go now. Now I'm having conversations with Delilah. It's time to go. Anytime I start speaking to her more than once a day, that means it's gonna be a long day. By the way, it's a blue shirt. Everybody agree it's a blue shirt? You know what I'm gonna do today? Besides work and make money, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to get a haircut. If it goes well, I'll do the show without a hat tomorrow. Yeah, I'll keep the hat on. Hey, everybody, I appreciate you tuning in. riverspromise.org, riverspromise.com. From the bottom of my heart, thanks for being a part of the program. Without you, it's just me talking to myself. I appreciate you being here. Go download the podcast, all the podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, even the old iHeart Kingdom, they got it. I'll see you tomorrow. May God bless you. May God bless America. I am Jimmy Lakey. Peace. I'm out of here. I miss you already.